My name is Tom Kelly. I'm a stand-up comedian who has been on The View, Good Morning America, Headline News, Reels, and a whole bunch of TV programs and publications and whatnot. Here at the Tom Kelly Show, we are elevating lives. We are making people laugh. And I want you to think of this show as an inappropriate Oprah, but instead of giving away cars, I'm giving away booze. I wanted to make that line. Instead of giving away cars, I'm giving away STDs, but I feel like that's probably too much for some of you. But anyway, new episodes on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays across the board on social media. We are Tom Kelly Show. And what do you say, friends? We get right into episode 176 with...
Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show. Thank you. Keep that money coming. Keep that money. All right.
Here we go. Trigger warning. Spoiler alert. For the love of God, don't call me Wolf. You're listening to episode 176 of the Tom Kelly Show. Let's start the show out of order with a segment we call the Magic Mirror. What, Tom? You always do the Magic Mirror at the end of the show. I know. I'm doing it at the beginning of the show specifically for my niece, Olivia. Magic Mirror time. We're magic mirroring her boyfriend, Ryan. Olivia is, I guess, 16 and a half, almost 17, or 17, a solid 17. And yes, solid 17 and junior going into senior year of high school. She has a boyfriend, Ryan. Met him a few times. I'm actually working very hard to be less embarrassing to her generation of girls than I was to my niece, Kylie. So I really am ignoring the guy until she gets married. You know, call me at the wedding. That said, we are at the family party. It's my niece Ava's birthday party. First big family party we've had in a long, long time. It was great to be there. And you know it's a good party when the fire alarms go off. Not allowed to say much more beyond that, but smoke detectors were beeping people. Anyway, Olivia, who is a sweet kid, comes up to me while I'm at the buffet line, because, you know, that's where I do all my networking. And she says, Uncle Tommy, hello, Olivia. My boyfriend, Ryan, listens to your podcast and he thinks you're funny. Now, I did not react properly. Instead of saying, well, Olivia, thank you. And please tell Ryan, I said, thanks. Instead, I said, what the hell is he doing listening to this show? I don't want any opinions from you kids. You know, so again, when we talk about when I wind up in a cheap nursing home, it's going to be because of moments like that. And the funny part is, again, and it's funny how it happens literally 2 days after I'm trying to draw the line between separating comedy Tom Kelly with the family. And I'll tell you a fun moment about these kids. So about 5 years ago, I used to be on a show on Headline News all the time called The Daily Share. And they would like have little wacky topics like from Twitter and whatnot. And one of the topics was, you know, I'm lying when I say blank. And then whoever was on the panel, and I was a regular, you know, you would fill in the blank. And so it was, you know, you're lying when, and I think my line was, you know, I'm lying when I say your kid's concert was good. I want to say this to all my nieces and nephews. When I go to your concert and I say you're good, you stink. And then I think my next one is, and you're all awful at the saxophone. Whatever it was, I had done it 5 years earlier. I had done this in like 2014. Did not release it till 2019 on the Instagram, because all the kids I was making fun of, like Nico was in that generation. You guys remember my nephew Nico from a few episodes ago. The Mendoza niece and nephews had aged into an age bracket where I felt they could handle an Uncle Tommy joke. And God bless, the younger generation sees it on Instagram and the hate mail starts coming in. What? The next one goes, oh my God, you broke my heart. And then a third one says, well, I was lying all the times I said you were funny. And I'm like, God damn it. This is why we don't mix peas and carrots, people. So, Ryan, glad you're here. Glad you are listening to the show. And do me a favor, if you hear something and you think, oh, I want to hear the backstory, don't ask no one, Ryan, okay? God damn it. From here on in, when I'm going to have to go back to calling everybody Dan Stanton's relative, which is my code word for somebody who's going to get mad. That's what I've been doing. When we used to do the show, everything was Dan Stanton's relative. And that's what we're going to have to do from here on in. And since we are aiming this podcast today at a kid who might be a 16/17-year-old or 18-year-old boy, I have a good clip that I'm going to play for you guys. It's from the Apple TV Plus show WeCrashed, which is about WeWork. I guess they had a big stock market crash. I don't know the whole story. The show is getting really ridiculed by the critics. It's not as bad as the critics say, nor is it as good as it should be for the amount of money Apple put into it. Like, I'm loving it, and I'll put it on because there's no pressure. You know that this guy eventually gets fired from WeWork. It's like, you know, it's a true crime story, except it's a financial crime. But you talk about how slow this darn show is. There's a scene where Jared Leto, who is a great actor, and Anne Hathaway, who is a great actress, they get fired from WeWork and they have to ride in the elevator. And God bless, if you ever wanted to know what a 3-minute elevator ride was like with Jared Leto while he was breathing deeply, WeCrashed is the TV series for you. And this is my overall thought on all these things. Movies don't have to be 12-hour things. We can go back to boiling these down to 2 to 3 hour things. Like the Batman did it right. You're right. The Batman could have been a show on HBO Max. No, they boiled it down. Did they boil it down to 2 hours? No, 3 hours and 59 minutes, whatever it is. Fine. That's enough. I don't need to know what it's like to slide down the bat pole with the Batman at every single bump. You know, you could edit some of these things out. Anyway, if you lower your expectations for the show, I like it. And there's a great scene at the beginning where Jared Leto is speaking to a room full of college kids. And he's trying to sell a living concept of WeWork to these venture capitalist students. And one of the kids shouts out, "Well, it sounds like what you're pitching is a dormitory." And this is the speech that made me fall in love with Jared Leto.
I'm a little bit older than most of you here, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You will spend the rest of your lives trying to recapture what you have right now. Every Hamptons house, every Vegas trip, every bachelor party, it's all to recapture this moment. You will chase this feeling for the rest of your lives.
But I am chasing that feeling. I have the picture. I'll put it up on the screen. I don't know if I'm chasing the idea of dormitory parties and whatnot, but I am, even with this podcast, chasing the small town TV studio feel of my first cable access show. I mean, that's what I'm trying to bring to you, is that like that rebellious, half feel good, half comedy feeling that I've had my whole life. In many ways, I am projecting 18-year-old Tom Kelly. And after a good session with Dr. Cheryl today, I'm trying to soothe 18-year-old Tom Kelly and probably 5 and 6-year-old Tom Kelly as well. You know, and I guess that's the thought, chasing that feeling. I just loved that speech, but the show, not worth the 8-hour commitment. So I promised you guys a story for my friends who were asking me from Instagram. I just did this as a tweet. Magic mirror time again to Franklin, my steadfast comedy / TV warm-up fan / friend. I had posted a tweet that said, it was in response to my friend Dennis Clark. Dennis Clark asks, what is the most embarrassing question your kid asked a stranger? I replied, at the age of 7, I asked my friend's mother, do you know your husband is seeing other women? True story. My mother will tell you the short story, which is pretty much that tweet that I went up to a woman and said, do you know your husband is seeing other women? And that was the mom of a kid whose dad lived in the basement next door to us in Brooklyn. It was the Sullivan house, but I think the Sullivans were gone by then. It was a family called Fagan. But whatever it is, whoever's downstairs, the guy had a son who would come over like for the 1 day a week thing. And remember, at the age of 7, I'm in Catholic school. I do not really understand the concept of divorce. I think the only divorced child, or the only child of divorced parents I remember, was a kid named Chris Passatiri. Anyway, in my mind, mommies and daddies were always married. And for whatever reason, this kid's mommy lived somewhere else. And I would see this guy who, in my mind, he had curly 80s hair and that 80s mustache. And he had lots of like hot, done up Brooklyn women going into the basement. And one day, after playing with this kid, I'm now sitting on the stoop. And a stoop, for those of you who don't know, in this case, it's a brick staircase. And I'm sitting with Maria and Christina Rocca, who were the Italian girls from down the block. And I said, he's seeing other women. And Christina, who is a year older than me, or Christine, who's a year older than me, says, well, you have to do the right thing. You have to tell that woman that her husband is seeing other women. And well, Christine said, I got to go do it. So I went down. I see the mom coming to pick up the son, and with the kids watching. And apparently my mom was right behind the door. I very loud and proud say, excuse me, I just want you to know your husband is seeing other women. And then the woman says, the boy's mother says, that is not my husband. And I just went back to the stoop, perplexed. And I guess the one thing we're sure of is, if there was any chance of reconciliation in that broken marriage, a 7-year-old Tom Kelly killed that. Ma'am, do you know your husband is seeing other women? Hard to believe. Okay, we're saving the best for last, people. Kylie Jenner named her child Wolf. There was apparently a big thing on Instagram, and I don't follow the Jenners. I don't follow the Kardashians. I am somewhat thrilled and following the Kim Kardashian Kanye divorce, mainly because I am pretty sure Pete Davidson is going to wind up murdered in the next couple of weeks. That said, and I'm not even saying that as a joke, I genuinely, actually clarifying, just so we don't think I'm abusing, I'm making fun of divorce abuse or whatever we call whatever Kanye's doing. I am genuinely worried for Pete Davidson's health right now. So anyway, Kylie Jenner, who I guess is in some form of relationship with Travis Scott. By the way, would a 7-year-old Tom Kelly go up to Kanye West and say, sir, I think your wife is seeing other men? 7-year-old Tom Kelly would be dead. By the way, Kylie Jenner, 24, a billionaireess and a mother. And what the hell am I doing wrong with my life? On Monday, she released an Instagram story saying, our son is no longer named Wolf. FYI, our son's name isn't Wolf anymore. We just really didn't feel like it was him. Well, geez, you named your child after an animal. Now, I want to keep this classy. I heard the news while at a comedy club, and one of the other comedians said, his grandpa is Caitlyn Jenner. That kid is lucky the name is all they changed. you know, so I have non-transphobic thoughts on the Kylie Jenner, Wolf Jenner. Actually, would it could be Wolf Scott? Wolf Scott. Wolf Scott sounds like a news anchor's name. I could do a Wolf Scott, Wolf Blitzer. I mean, you know what? I'm making fun. You know, we're making fun of Kylie Jenner for naming her kid Wolf, but there is a Wolf Blitzer. Why not? Well, suddenly I'm no longer questioning the name Wolf. But I guess I know a few people over the years who have changed the name of their child. Like I've heard of a few people who changed their child's name like 6 months later. So I guess it's not so bad that they change the name like 12 hours later or 24 hours later. Dan Stanton, he named one of his sons Leonard Lyon. And they tried calling the kid Lion for a while, but I kept making fun of him. And all my friends got mad that I kept making fun of Dan Stanton's son, Lion. And they're like, Tom, why are you making fun of the name Lion? I'm like, the only name more ridiculous than Lion is calling the kid Rawr. Why did they change baby Wolf Jenner's name? Because Kanye was already bullying the child. Why did they change baby Wolf's name? Because they knew when the kid turned 13, kids would start calling him Teen Wolf. Well, I hope this is all funny enough for Olivia's boyfriend, Ryan. Teen Wolf. Rawr. Rawr. All right, kids, this is why I don't do the show this late anymore. Or this late at night. So that's the podcast, people. Hope you had a good time. Magic Mirror shout outs one more time for our friend Franklin up in the Bronx. And a special Magic Mirror one more time to Ryan, Olivia's boyfriend. If you're listening this far at the end of the show, you could just say, just send a little message or comment. Rawr! Good night, New York.